During our time on the road in Connecticut, we've been very graciously hosted by the Mark Twain House in Hartford. Cindy Lovell is executive director of the Mark Twain House. She spent some time with us discussing the fact that with his roots in Missouri and on the banks of the Mississippi River, many people are surprised to learn about Mark Twain's Hartford connection.
He came into this house in 1874. He and his wife built it to raise their family. He was a young father. Picture a young red-headed Mark Twain because he was a ginger. He wasn't always old white-haired Mark Twain. But they built this house, moved in with a 2-year-old daughter and a brand new baby that year. So he was a young man. And yes, the great works were all penned in this house. Now he would spend summers in Elmira, New York, where he would be at his sister-in-law's farm and write a lot of manuscript. But he came back here to Hartford to edit, to finish up. This was a busy place, but here in this house, he wrote Tom Sawyer, Connecticut Yankee, of course, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, Life on the Mississippi, books like that. It was just a very productive time for him.
And in his era, late 1870s, 80s, 90s, and in the early part of the century, Hartford was an amazing place. It was the financial center of the country in so many ways, not just the insurance industry. I read recently, researching for this, it was the wealthiest city in the country. It was quite a place he lived in.
It was, all roads led to Hartford. Hartford's still quite a vibrant place. I'm very happy to be living here. This was the very first Mark Twain site I ever visited, so Mark Twain brought me literally to Hartford many, many years ago. But yes, when he came, his publisher was here, so a lot of publishing going on in Hartford, a lot of wealth. Of course, Mark Twain liked to kind of hobnob with that wealth, and his literary star was rising. He was doing really well in those years, so this was a great place. It was a wonderful home base, and what a unique home that they built, and what a testament to the folks who saved it and preserved it. It was, you know, like many Gilded Age mansions, it was you know, considered to be torn down. They were planning to, and someone stepped in and bought it and saved it, and we're forever grateful for that we don't have to drive by a plaque out there. But yeah, Hartford was a vibrant town then. It is now, and we're trying to do our part to keep that alive.
There is, as always in every life, sadness attached, though. He left this house in the early 1890s because he had to go to Europe to rebuild his fortune. He'd lost it in some what seemed like very good but turned out to be very bad investments. And then one of his daughter passed away, and he and his wife especially, the house was never right to them after that, I guess.
They couldn't come back to the house. I mean, this was their happiest time, 17 years. This was the longest he lived anywhere. In his entire lifetime, he only owned 3 homes. But this was home the longest. This was where they raised their children. And yeah, the Panic of 1893 kind of crippled the whole country, and he was not immune. He had invested in a typesetting machine. We actually have the prototype on display in our museum. Very sad. Every time I look at it, I feel that sadness because he felt so responsible, and he went on this round-the-world lecture tour and went, you know, through Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, India. He loved India, but was gone a whole year with his wife and their middle daughter. The other 2 daughters stayed behind, and yet his oldest daughter, Susie, died in this home of spinal meningitis, and they just couldn't bring themselves to come live here again, which is kind of heartbreaking because they had such happy memories in this home.
There's an exhibit right now through the end of January, Travel is Fatal to Prejudice. What a great Twain saying. A lot of items, a lot of artifacts relating directly to his life.
Yeah, I mean, he was traveling when traveling was not the pleasant experience we think of today. Even as a young boy, a lot of people don't realize when he left Hannibal, he went to St. Louis at the age of 17 and set type, earned his keep. He was earning his keep since the age of 12, but he wrote his little brother a letter and he said, "Don't tell Ma, I'll write her when I get there, but I've saved up, I'm going to New York to see the Crystal Palace." 17 years old. He disembarks early on a Sunday morning in New York City, and that was it. He got a taste. He was off to Philly, he was off to D.C., and for the rest of his life, he was really in motion, traveling, lecturing, was a great traveler. One of my favorite quotes comes out of Huckleberry Finn said, in the book Tom Sawyer brought, he said, "There ain't no surer way to find out whether you like people or hate them than to travel with them." And he had plenty to say about his traveling companions down through the years. Very well traveled and really revered. Wherever he went, his daughters had wonderful stories about Papa and how he was received. And kings, queens, czars, everybody wanted to meet this fellow from, you know, back in the Mississippi River Valley.
And overall, as you meet people from around the world, Twain fans, this must be a very special place to be for someone who loves Twain like you do.
Oh, Everybody. It's a literary mecca. National Geographic named this one of the 10 best historic homes in the entire world. Only 3 U.S. homes made that list: Monticello, Mount Vernon, and Mark Twain. So we're very proud of that. And they recognize this was a family home. This is a literary home. This brings so much American history right to your right to your doorstep, that you can come in here and actually see this and walk in the rooms where they walked. Go up in, one of my favorite things is to take people into the billiard room where he wrote. And I'll tell you, people like Brad Paisley come and visit. They are Mark Twain fans. They want to see that spot, and they are so captivated by that little corner and the way he set his desk against the wall, because he knew if he was by a window he'd be distracted and he wouldn't write. Everybody loves to come and see these very special places.
Well, Cindy Lovell, Executive Director of Mark Twain House, thank you for your time. Thank you for you and your staff for your hospitality.
Thank you. Come again.